We're on? We're on?
Oh,
Are we
no.
on? Hello? I don't see anything. We're on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight is Sunday night. It's the Piece of Eden. We're at the Piece
Saturday
of Eden.
night.
It is Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we're at the Piece of Eden Homestead here, and I am here right here with Horacio Homesteader, otherwise known as Brian. Little Brian Jackman.
Little, not so little anymore.
Sit in the back pew with his mom, Bertha. I can remember that.
So, David, Mama Cass came over tonight. I fed him well, or I like to think.
Yeah.
We had homemade lasagna, and for the lasagna, I made homemade sauce and homemade noodles with eggs that we grew from the chickens here, and homemade Italian sausage that we ground the turkey for the sausage ourselves, and then I made sausage out of it, and also homemade ricotta, and that was the lasagna. Along with that, we had some homemade garlic bread with, of course, homemade bread, and then we had some caprese salad. Caprese. Anyway, well, however you pronounce it, I'm not Italian, but
big chunks of mozzarella,
some homemade mozzarella cheese in that, and everybody seemed to think it was all right. So I thought it was pretty good myself.
Delicious.
So, and then for the last little while here, David and I have been playing around with some songs that I wrote many years ago, and
they're pretty good songs too. I like playing them.
The lyrics and the tune for them in my head forever. And have never, because I don't play any musical instruments, I've never had the opportunity to put music with them. Very kindly came up with some music to go along with the lyrics and tune that I have for the song. So after dinner, David and I went through and I sang me about Horace getting to where he can come up with this beautiful music that he's playing along with the lyrics. And I suppose, without further ado...
Yeah, we should get started. Now, you want to sing the Cantina song first?
Senorita Bonita.
Senorita Bonita.
I wrote this song about 100 years ago, probably in around 1999, with some good help from a very good friend, Frederick Morantis. I'll be sure to have him see this when we're done. But if you want to get started...
And so I know that I put a little country, my favorite little country riff is this.
One more time and we'll get into it. Ready? I saw a little senorita in a cantina by the border. You know she could look sweeter even if she were made to order. Well, I knew from the moment that I seen her I was created just to hold her. But I'd never get to meet her if I didn't get a little bolder. So I had a conversation with my long-lost relation, Jose Cuervo. He said, stop your hesitating and you're waiting, you can do it, my amigo. Well, I was still debating, said I may need just a little something more. So he poured me a libation, it was just the inspiration I was looking for. Beautiful. Yo te quiero, señorita bonita.
Bonita means pretty.
Well, I sure am awful glad I got to meet you.
Glad to meet you.
Could we stare into each other's eyes all night on the playa?
Playa means beach.
And then watch a tequila sunrise mañana. Now I was feeling pretty loco and I'm morado con ella. to meet ya. Could we stare into each other's eyes all night on the playa?
That means beach.
And then watch a tequila sunrise, mañana. Yo te quiero, señorita bonita. Well, I sure am awful glad I got to meet ya. Could we stare into each other's eyes all night on the playa?
That means beach.
And then watch a tequila sunrise, mañana. Now plays out. Yo te quiero, señorita bonita.
Out.
Well, I sure
Okay, so you want to talk a little bit about this next
Alright,
song?
so this next song kind of hits home. It's about losing a family member. Try to get through it without getting choked up. But it's a good song. I obviously changed the details so it doesn't fit the exact situation because it would hit too hard if it was exactly like it was. But it's called The Door We Haven't Opened. So let's see what we can do with this. Handful of pebbles you found at the beach last spring. There's so many memories in every little thing. Your old worn out baseball, your bat and your glove. Close my eyes and see you in heaven above. Now each day is a battle without you in our lives. Now we're sitting on your bed, wiping tears from our eyes. Through the door we haven't opened at the end of the hall. Since late last summer when we got that call. Now we're sorting through the memories, dealing with the pain. Your mom was crying on my shoulder. Things will never be the same. Now that second verse. Tomorrow's your birthday, and your mama made a cake, but there's only 7 candles when there ought to be 8. We'll light them in the morning and watch them burn to the end. And as each one goes out, we'll make a wish on them. The same wish for each candle, from the first to last, that we didn't have to be here taking care of the past. Through the door we haven't opened. Through the door we haven't opened at the end of the hall. Since late last summer when we got that call. Now we're sorting through the memories, dealing with the pain. Your mama's crying on my shoulder. Things will never be the same. So as you can see, we only just started playing with this. And even though he's just been introduced to this song tonight, and even though there are a few little things we need to work out, this guy is just magnificent. I cannot even believe how well he's done.
Well, it's well put together song.
So, well, thank you. So that's what I have for you tonight with my vocal, what do you call it? Experience. My voice is pretty shot from singing all night, but I think that David is going to have us sing a couple of songs.
We do. I got a good one.
So we're thinking about doing a couple of. This one I think will be a nice one. This is a little bit of a what do you call it? Hymn from.
It's a hymn. This is old April Avenue Church of Christ hymn right here.
Back when we went to church together as kids. So you get us started and I'll sing along.
Okay. You can. How about you do the chorus leads? I'll go high harmony on you.
Okay.
I'll just follow you no matter what, but I'll start the song out and you start singing it and I'll
Alright, we'll figure it out.
Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away in the morning to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away, fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life is gone, I'll fly away in the morning like a bird from his mother's lawn. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away in the morning to a land where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. One more time. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
Very good. I like that. That brings back a lot of good memories.
That does bring.
You know, I have a story about that song.
Let's hear it.
Now, back at April Avenue, people used to sing, I'll fly away, oh Lordy.
Oh Lordy.
I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly. And then somebody didn't like that because they thought it was taking the name
of Lord in vain.
and disrespecting him. And so then we went back to, I don't know if the original was Glory or if that, I imagine no one April wrote that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I'll fly away, oh Lordy. And they changed
Yeah,
it.
we grew up, me and Brian both grew up in a pretty conservative church, and we didn't have instrumental music. I had a crick in my get up for us not having instrumental music at church.
I had never experienced instruments at church before, and then they had one time, can't remember if it was Sunday evening or between Sunday morning and Sunday evening, because we went Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday night
Right.
every week.
Yes.
But they had orchestra come in and played in the church, and I loved it. And I'm like, why don't we always have instruments in the church? And so I wish that we would have back then too. But apparently, because we were so conservative at that church, they were not very happy about the idea of instruments in church, and so we didn't.
Well, after I spent 18 years of my life going to the Church of Christ, when I decided to get married for the first time, I got married to a girl, Tiffany, and she went to Davison Full Gospel Church. It was Pentecostal all the way. Talk about a culture shock, man. Going into a place that had a full band with, and our friend Bobby Johnson, he's actually on their praise team, so he plays on Friday nights, and I can remember Bobby playing way back then. Back when I was a kid, and people were speaking in tongues and out in the aisles and praising Jesus, and it was just a big shock to me.
That was I went to a Church of God as a teenager one time, and there were people speaking in tongues, and that really threw me for a loop. And researching the Bible, that is something that can really happen, but it's not something I was accustomed to by any means.
You said a song earlier.
My
keep going.
Brother, we'll call him Umberto, since that's what we're at Piece of Eden, and we got to go by our.
That's Scott, if you guys don't know. Humberto.
So it's Homer, Horatio, and Umberto. But anyway, he went to New Life Christian Church in what was it, in Grand Blanc, and I went to that church a couple of times.
Did you?
They had a band that played with guitar, drums, and the whole shebang, and I really enjoyed that. Oh, we're gonna do this one, huh? All right, this is a good one. I don't know all the verses, but we can do at least the first one, and maybe a couple of.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was like sitting in the pew at April Avenue Church of Christ.
Minus the whole low end of my vocal range is shot. No.
I can still hear your dad singing in that.
Yeah, he was he loved to sing.
He did love to sing. He
loved
wasn't that good of a singer,
he loved
but
to
he
sing
sure
loud.
did sing loud.
What he didn't make, or what he didn't handle with hitting the notes right, he made up for in volume.
Theo was Brian's father. Theo's passed away now, but Theo was one of my youth group leaders at church when I was a youngin'.
Yeah.
And
did you ride the Joy Bus with us?
I didn't ride the Joy Bus, but my mom painted the Joy Bus.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Mother Goose. Huh?
Mother Goose painted the Joy Bus. That I remember the year they got that bus, and then my mom went out to paint the lettering on the Joy Bus to April Avenue Church of Christ, and it was so hot outside, and her underarms got super chafed. And I remember we got home, and she was laying in bed, she was crying, and it hurt her so bad.
Oh,
and
man.
she goes, "Go down the street and get Mrs. Tubbs," which the Tubbs family lived in our neighborhood. They had 7 kids, so she was a nurse at Hurley, so she went down and took care of her friend Mother Goose.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. And I would be I would totally regret not remembering this, but now I did remember that my mom wanted me to say hi to Bertha from her.
Hi, Mom. Bertha's my mom.
Hi, Bertha.
So we rode the Joy Bus. Was, for those of you who don't know, which you probably don't know, Miss Katz, the Joy Bus, the church, April Avenue Church of Christ, bought a school bus, and then it couldn't be federal orange because that's only for school buses. Legally, that color is only for school buses, and so they repainted. Apparently, Mother Goose painted the bus a different color. I don't remember what color, maybe blue or purple, if I remember. But boy, I was just a kid back then.
I don't exactly remember either.
So anyhow, we had the Joy Bus, and my dad had a chauffeur's license and was able to drive or CDL. I'm not sure which he had. I needed a CDL when I drove a school bus, but this was a long time ago. So anyway, he had a license so he could drive it, and so that my dad would drive the Joy Bus all around Flint and pick up kids who didn't have a ride to church. And my dad would do, before church, we'd go down in the basement of the church, and he'd do little sermons for the kids and stuff, and he would just go all out with that. He loved doing that. And then when they finally did actually have a youth minister, it wasn't my dad, it was Brian Stagner.
Brian Stagner.
And Brian Stagner is the man who I am named after.
Is it really?
It is.
I didn't know that.
Yep, Brian Stagner is, I got my name from Brian, and couldn't ask for a better man to be named after, because that is
right on. He was a great guy.
Yes, sir. So,
he knew how to relate to kids, because he knew that I kind of felt like a square peg at church, where we went to church, but he knew that I was a little athlete, and he's totally meshed with me with athletics, and it brought me into the group.
It's funny because you talk about being a square peg or anything. I just looked up to you as an older kid. I never would have thought you were awkward or anything like that back then. So
I adolescence was all about girls. So,
yeah, that kind of. Everybody's, if it's
I wish I'd have known then what I know now.
Yeah, that would have got you.
I'd have had a lot more girlfriends.
You'd have gotten all kinds of trouble with that.
I'd end up with 6 wives rather than 3.
Yeah, that's not good. So I don't know how long you want to keep this. How long do you want to keep this live going?
Well, right now we got a couple minutes left, so I'd like to do one of the songs that I wrote. And,
all right.
And then maybe we'll do another one after.
Well, after that, I'll show the eggs we got today.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
All right.
I wake from my dreams at dawn every day. I smell the fresh grind as I meditate and I pray. I think about you often and how I miss you so. But every day, dear Father, into your name I grow. Down the Huron Forest Trail where the old Pine River stir, I watched the icy stream a-roiling in the blur. I kneel down on that sitting log every day as I do. And I thank you, my dear Father, and in Jesus' name I pray. My dear Father, my dear Father. I cried when I sang this for the first time. My dear Father, my Dad, I miss you to this day. My dear Father, my Redeemer, it's to you whom I pray. My dear Father, you were such a loving Dad. My dear Father, this day you made, I'll rejoice and be glad. My dear Father, my dear Father. Boom.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
That song makes me think of course, my dad. But when we first got this place, right as you're coming in, over the sign when you come into the property,
Mm-hmm.
Off to the left there is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life, and I just happened to stop when I came in just to check out. Like, this is the beginning of our brand new place. And there's a trail off to the side, and I go down that little trail, and there's a little stream that's running back and forth, and this is early spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was overwhelmed, like I could feel my dad there with me.
Yeah, I
was
bet.
just overwhelmed with how much he would have loved that little trout stream, and, because he was a fisherman to the end.
He sure was. I totally remember that.
And he would have just loved it. I was so happy for what we have, and I was so sad for him not to see it, that it was just overwhelming.
Hey, I want to ask you if you remember this. I don't know if you were on the work crew with your dad, but I was doing a contract job. I was working for Earl Dopp Sign Company, and it was when Genesee Bank became NBD Bank, and they were changing all their signs around. And so Earl Dopp Sign, they rented a big warehouse in downtown Flint off of 12th Street, and it was a big warehouse, and they brought all these gigantic poles in.
It's a different sign company now, I think.
I don't know what it is now, but they had welded all these spots, and we had to grind down the welds and then spray paint them, and then we put together the big vinyl NBD signs. We stretched them over this frame, and that's what we did for, I don't know, it was a couple month job. And your dad was working on a house. I don't know if it was a HUD house or what, but he was putting a brand new roof on this house right next to this warehouse. And then we had lunch together one day.
What year would that have been? Ish.
I would say 80, 88.
Oh yeah, it definitely was there. I don't remember it, but I would, unless it was on a school day.
Yeah,
I was there because I worked from 1980.
Yeah.
I remember carrying shingles up to my dad. He was roofing our barn, and we had a big, tall, I want to say 30 or 40 foot ladder up to the hip roof on the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was carrying shingles up to him when I was like 6. And all I could carry was 2 shingles on my arm at a time. And I'd go up this whole ladder and drop my 2 shingles off and come down all the way back down and get 2 more. And I got up there, and my dad was there, and he's like, I said, Dad, I'm sorry, I can only carry 2 at a time. He's like, every shingle you bring is 1. I don't have to. And that kind of
That makes a lot of
it
sense.
made me feel like I was worth it. And Dad had a great way of making you feel like you were worth it.
That's totally cool.
So hopefully, I'm still worth it.
I have a lot of great stories and a lot of great memories of Theo Jackman.
Yeah, I don't remember your dad at all.
No, my dad didn't go to church.
Okay.
My dad was a little introverted socially, so he was he didn't want to do anything to make him look dumb, so he just rather
Nobody likes
stick
to look
around
dumb,
home.
so I can feel for
Trip
that.
and fall
Yeah.
over something. Yeah,
I
things
used to
like
be
that
that
crushed
way.
him.
I used to be so scared to, have somebody notice me mess up or something. And now, as you can see, I'm fine with. I can be here live in front of all 14 people watching us, or all 4 million. How many ever are watching?
There's every time it
Doesn't-
says like 6 on there, it's actually 1,600.
Yeah, okay. I don't really care. So I could stand in front of 10 people, or I could stand in front of 100,000, and if I tripped and fell, I'd just let it. I'd rather just keep the flow going, and people